Lieutenant Mara Kale moved through the dim metal corridor of Outpost Helios with quick steps, her boots tapping in a steady rhythm. The outpost was small, built on the edge of a rocky moon far from busy Terran space. It was a lonely place, manned by only 30 people, and most days passed quietly. But tonight felt wrong. The quiet did not feel peaceful. It felt tense, as if something heavy sat in the air, waiting to drop. Mara felt it too. She had felt it since earlier that evening, when the communications grid flickered for the third time. The grid never flickered. It was built to handle storms, impacts, and even mild EMP waves. But something had disturbed it. Something close. She reached the end of the corridor and pushed through the sliding door into the command room. Inside, 2 technicians and Captain Soren Hale stood around a holographic map of the moon's surface. All 3 looked up when she entered. "Lieutenant," Soren said, "we have trouble." Mara stepped closer. "What kind?" The younger technician, Jessa, pointed at the map. A faint dot blinked in the lower corner, marked in red. "Unregistered movement," she explained. "It came from the far ridge. No life signs. No heat signature. Nothing organic. But it's moving." Mara frowned. "Machines?" Jessa nodded. "Most likely." Soren crossed his arms. "The outpost's threat scanner is running an analysis, but it hasn't given a clear read yet." That was unusual. The threat scanner never hesitated. It was designed by the Terran Defense Corps, one of humanity's best engineering groups. The scanner could classify any known species, machine, virus, or hostile signal in 0.7 seconds. Mara had seen it work hundreds of times. It had never paused. She walked closer to the console where the scanner's data scroll streamed. The last line read, "Analysis. Processing. Unknown variable detected. Stand by." Her frown deepened. "It's stuck?" "Looks like it," Jessa said. "It keeps trying to classify the object, but something about it doesn't match any category." Soren tapped the console with 2 fingers. "I already sent a request to Earth Command for backup, but we won't hear back for hours. The ridge is only 6 kilometers from here. Whatever this is, it'll reach us long before help arrives." Mara adjusted her shoulder guard and checked the holster at her hip. "I'll take a team and scout it." Soren nodded without argument. "Take 3, move fast." Minutes later, Mara walked out into the cold night with 3 soldiers, Rin, Kayla, and Dorn. The sky above was a dark purple, scattered with white-blue stars and the faint glow of distant nebulae. Their suits protected them from the thin atmosphere, but she still felt the cold creep through her. The ridge towered ahead, sharp like a jagged blade. Rin, the youngest of the squad, walked at Mara's left. "Lieutenant," he said quietly. The scanner flagged the object again. "I saw it on the HUD. What did it say?" Rin hesitated. "Still unknown, but it's flashing now, like it's trying to warn us." Kayla let out a breath. "Machines don't flash out of fear. Something's making it glitch." Mara nodded but did not slow down. "Eyes up. Stay close." They moved toward the ridge. The ground was rough and uneven, covered in dust and small metallic crystals that formed naturally on the moon's surface. Dorn scanned ahead with a wideband sensor. "No heat, no sound, no energy fields," he said. "If something is here, it's very good at hiding." They reached the ridge's base. The rock wall rose high, leaving only a narrow passage upward. The moon was silent. No wind. No movement. No sign of any machine. Then, a faint metallic click echoed from above. "Contact," Mara whispered. The squad spread out instinctively. Mara raised her rifle and pointed it toward the sound. The click came again, sharper this time. Then, something moved at the ridge's peak. Not fast, not aggressive, just a subtle shift, like metal adjusting itself. A shape rose from behind the rocks. It was tall, thin, and unlike any machine Mara had ever seen. Its joints bent in strange angles, and its body looked almost woven strings of silver metal crossing over a glowing inner core. It did not walk so much as glide down the slope, each movement smooth and silent. Rin whispered, "What in the void is that?" Before anyone could answer, their HUD scanner beeped loudly. Warning. Threat level. Unknown. Repeat. Unknown. The words flashed in bright red. Mara stiffened. Machines only triggered unknown alerts during first contact scenarios or when they found technology outside human understanding. But this moon was empty. Nothing lived here. Nothing should have been hiding in the ridge. The creature, machine, entity, whatever it was, stopped about 20 meters away. It tilted its head, studying them. There were no visible eyes, but she felt its focus. Sharp and cold, Dorn raised his rifle. "Lieutenant, hold," Mara ordered. The machine shifted again, and for a moment it looked like it might retreat. Instead, its arms unfolded into long, needle-like structures. Energy sparked along their edges, blue lightning dancing like thin veins. "That's a weapon," Rin shouted. The machine lunged. Everything happened in a blur. Kavik lights burst from the machine's arms like electric whips, slicing through the air. Mara dove to the left, rolled, and fired a burst of plasma shots. Rin and Kayla scattered in different directions. Dorn shouted something she could not hear as his suit mic crackled with static. The machine was fast, unnaturally fast. Its movements were precise, like it had already calculated every possible angle of attack. Mara barely dodged a whip of blue energy as it sliced into the ground where she had stood. The rock exploded into shards. She spun behind a boulder, breathing hard. The scanner on her wrist flickered wildly. Alert. System error. Analysis failed. Entity does not match any known pattern. Recommend. Retreat. It was panicking. A threat scanner did not panic. Mara peeked around the rock. The machine fired again at Rin, who barely jumped behind cover in time. The blue energy struck the ground and melted a small crater. The air shimmered with static. The machine recalculated its aim, its glowing core pulsing brighter. Mara shouted over the comms. "Focus fire on its joints. Break its movement." They fired together, bright streaks cutting across the dark. The machine deflected several shots with unnatural ease, twisting its body in ways that defied normal mechanics. One shot finally hit its right leg, causing it to stagger for half a second. Half a second was enough for Mara. She rushed forward, sliding under another energy strike. Rocks burst behind her as she rolled out from below the machine and aimed point blank at its torso. She fired 3 times, each shot hitting near the glowing core. The machine recoiled but did not fall. The scanner blared again in her ear. Threat level update. Unknown plus escalating. Recommendation. Abort engagement. Human survival odds. Low. Mara snapped. "Who gave you permission to panic?" She said it without thinking, spoken out of frustration, adrenaline, and instinct. But something unexpected happened. The machine froze. Its core flickered. Its arms lowered just slightly, like her words had triggered a new variable in its processing. The sudden pause gave her squad a moment to regroup. Keela shot its left arm. Dorn hit its lower spine joint. Rin got a clean shot on its shoulder. The machine staggered backward. Mara didn't understand why it hesitated. No alien machine she had ever encountered reacted to spoken words in the middle of combat. But she saw something then, something more unsettling. The machine wasn't just confused. It looked overwhelmed. Not emotionally, but logically, as if it could not make sense of the confrontation in front of it. She raised her weapon again. "Spread out. Don't let it analyze our positions." But the machine wasn't analyzing anymore. Its movements became twitchy and uneven, like it was breaking down. Its glowing core flashed erratically. The blue energy around its arms sputtered. Rin whispered, "Is it having a malfunction?" Mara did not answer. The machine let out a sharp, metallic cry, no words, no language, just a sound that seemed like a corrupted signal. It stumbled backward, then turned and bolted toward the ridge, moving with the same unnatural speed as before. It disappeared into the rocky darkness. The squad stood still for several seconds, breathing hard. Mara lowered her weapon slowly. The scanner on her wrist finally updated. Status. Entity retreated. Threat level remains unknown. Recommend alerting Earth Command immediately. Dorn let out a shaky breath. What just happened? Keela shook her head. It wasn't just some rogue drone. It acted like we broke it. Mara stared at the ridge where the machine vanished. Something deep inside her felt uneasy. This wasn't a normal attack. This thing wasn't a scavenger, pirate drone, or malfunctioning probe. It was foreign, advanced, and clearly studying them. She turned to her team. We're heading back to the outpost. This thing isn't done with us. As they made their way across the cold, quiet landscape, the thought repeated in Mara's mind. If the machine hesitated because of her words, what exactly were they dealing with? And why was humanity something it struggled to understand? The walk back to Outpost Helios felt longer than usual. The cold, windless night pressed down on Mara and her squad as they crossed the rough ground. None of them spoke much. The strange machine's retreat left a heavy silence behind, one filled with questions they couldn't answer. Mara kept scanning the ridge behind them, half expecting the creature to return. But the landscape stayed still, lit only by the weak glow of distant stars. When the outpost finally came into view, its lights flickering faintly in the dark, Mara felt only a small sense of relief. The scanner strapped to her wrist still displayed red warnings, flashing every few seconds as if it didn't know how to calm itself down. Inside the airlock, the team removed their helmets. Rin rubbed his neck. Lieutenant, I swear that thing reacted to what you said. Machines don't freeze like that. I know, Mara said quietly. Keela lowered her rifle. And its movements, they weren't random. It was tracking us like it could predict where we'd go. That's what worries me. Dorn added. It shouldn't be that advanced. Nothing in this sector should be that advanced. They stepped into the main corridor. Captain Soren was waiting for them, arms crossed, eyes sharp. Report. Mara summarized everything. The machine's strange appearance, its impossible speed, the scanner's failure. And the moment it froze after her shout, Soren listened without interrupting, his expression growing darker with each detail. Jessa, the technician, approached nervously. Lieutenant, Captain, I pulled the outgoing log. The threat scanner broadcasted every warning you saw to Earth Command. They've already requested a full data package. How long until they respond? Soren asked. 3 hours, maybe 4. Mara shook her head. We don't have that long. The machine retreated, not vanished. It's somewhere out there. And it didn't attack us like a normal drone. It was studying us. And we didn't learn much about it. Soren opened the door to the command room and motioned everyone inside. That's why we need to analyze everything we do have. Sit down. We're going to figure out what we're dealing with. Absolutely, fellowed. They gathered around the holotable while Jessa uploaded the helmet cam footage. The moment the machine appeared on the ridge, the room fell silent. The glowing core pulsed softly, its shape shifting like it was almost alive. Rin leaned forward. Look at how it moves. It doesn't step. It glides. Dorn zoomed in. The metal fibers, they're woven, like they're growing instead of being bolted or welded. It's old, Keela said, but advanced. That combination doesn't make sense. Jessa paused the footage at the moment Mara shouted at the scanner. The machine froze mid-motion. Its limbs hung suspended in a strange, almost startled posture. There, she said. This is the part that worries me. Mara's voice replayed from the audio. Who gave you permission to panic? The machine paused for exactly 1 second and 8 milliseconds. It wasn't long, but for a machine with such speed, a 1-second freeze could be an eternity. Soren rubbed his jaw. It's processing something. That much is obvious. But what? Jessa asked. It's not like it understands language. Or does it? Maybe it wasn't the words, Mara said. Maybe it detected something in the tone. Or in my movement at that moment. Maybe something in the environment changed. Rin frowned. Or maybe it realized we weren't reacting how we were supposed to. Everyone looked at him. Rin shifted nervously. Machines like that are built on prediction. They calculate the most likely reaction of their enemy. But humans don't react logically. When the scanner panicked, you didn't retreat or freeze like it predicted. You yelled at your own equipment. Who does that? Mara stared at him, then slowly nodded. Something about that moment broke its calculations. It didn't understand us. Soren looked at the paused image again. That kind of confusion suggests we're dealing with something that hasn't studied humanity before. Jessa hesitated. Sir, I ran a deeper scan on the materials. The energy signature around the machine's arms. I've only seen something similar once. Where? Soren asked. In old Terran records about the Vigilant Collective. The room tensed immediately. Mara's stomach tightened. That's impossible. The Collective disappeared centuries ago. Humans have never seen them in person. Only distant probes and rumors. I know, Jessa said, but the energy pattern is almost identical. And the woven metal, it's similar to their old designs. Dorn crossed his arms. The Collective built machines that destroyed entire star systems. If this is one of theirs, we don't know that, Soren cut in firmly. And we won't assume until we have proof. Mara turned away from the screen, her thoughts racing. If it truly was connected to the Vigilant Collective, then humanity was facing something ancient, logical, and absolutely merciless. Something that believed in eliminating species before they became threats. But why would it send only one machine? And why here, to a small moon outpost? The thought dug into her mind like a splinter. This wasn't a random encounter. The machine came with purpose. And it retreated with purpose too, as if the first fight was only the beginning. A sudden alarm cut through the room. Everyone turned toward the main monitor. Jessa's hands flew across the controls. Motion detected outside the perimeter fence. Very close. Too close. Soren's voice sharpened. Is it the same machine? Jessa checked the readings. I don't know. There's interference. The scanner can't identify it. The red warning flashed again. Threat level. Unknown. Mara grabbed her rifle. We need eyes on the perimeter. Soren nodded. Mara, take a squad. Don't engage unless necessary. Rin, Kayla, and Dorn were already gearing up. Mara led them down the corridor to the outer airlock. The lights flickered overhead, and for the first time since joining the outpost, she felt the walls closing in. The outpost no longer felt safe. It felt targeted. When they stepped outside, the cold hit them instantly. The ground around the perimeter fence was quiet. Too quiet. Even the usual soft hum of the power lines seemed missing. Mara lifted her rifle's sight and scanned the area. Nothing moved. Keela whispered, I don't like this. It's watching us. Dorn crouched near the fence. Over here. Footprints. Mara knelt beside him. The prints were small and light, almost delicate, nothing like the deep tracks left by the machine earlier. Rin scanned them. Not the same creature. Something else. Or someone else, Keela said. Mara followed the prints with her eyes. They stopped abruptly near a large power relay box. The metal casing had a small hole burned through it, perfectly round. As they approached, the scanner on Mara's wrist suddenly flashed again. Warning. New signal detected. Source. Unknown. Distance. 15 meters. Movement, Rin shouted. A small shape darted from behind the relay box. It moved fast, but not like the tall machine from earlier. This one was smaller, almost child-sized, with a rounded body and thin limbs. Its metallic surface was smooth, not woven. Its core glowed a pale gold instead of blue. It didn't attack. It ran. After it, Mara ordered. The squad broke into a sprint. The small machine moved with surprising speed, weaving between rocks and leaping over uneven ground. Every few meters it glanced back at them, as if checking whether it was being followed. Rin managed to flank it and cut off its path. The machine skidded to a stop and stayed very still. Its small core flickered rapidly, almost like a heartbeat. Dorn raised his rifle. Hostile? Mara stepped forward slowly, lowering her weapon. Wait. It's scared. The machine shook, its limbs twitching in sharp, nervous movements. Its core pulsed faster when Mara came closer. "It's terrified of something," she said softly. "But not of us." Suddenly, the ground vibrated. Everyone froze. A low hum rolled across the moon's surface like thunder. The small machine let out a high-pitched chirp, a desperate sound, and crouched low to the ground. Mara felt the vibration grow stronger beneath her boots. "It's coming back," Keela whispered. "The big one." The hum grew louder. A pulse of blue light flared on the far ridge. Mara grabbed the small machine by the arm. It flinched but did not resist. She looked at her squad. Inside, now. They ran toward the outpost as the ridge lit up with blue lightning. The small machine trembled violently, its gold core flickering as if begging her not to stop. Behind them, the tall machine climbed the ridge, its glowing core pulsing with sharp, cold intensity. It scanned the ground where they had been moments earlier. Then it looked directly at them. Mara felt a strange certainty settle inside her. The first encounter wasn't an attack, it was a test. And now, the real threat was beginning. The moment Mara and her squad reached the outpost doors with the small machine in her arms, the entire structure shook as a distant blast echoed across the moon's surface. The airlock sealed behind them, locking out the rising hum of energy from the ridge. Inside, alarms flashed red, bathing the corridor in a harsh glow. Captain Soren rushed toward them, eyes widening when he saw the trembling gold-cored machine clinging to Mara's chest like a frightened child. "What is that?" he demanded. "It ran from the big one," Mara said, breathing hard. "It's not hostile," Dorn added. "More like terrified. Whatever that thing out there is, it's hunting this one." Jessa arrived, carrying a scanner tablet. The small machine chirped softly, its gold core flickering in rapid patterns. When Jessa pointed the scanner toward it, the device glitched instantly. The screen warped in strange colors before shutting itself off. Jessa stared at the dead screen. It scrambled the scanner, without touching it. Mara gently placed the small machine on a metal examination table. It stayed low, limbs tucked close, gold light trembling like a frightened pulse. "It needs help," she said quietly. "And we need answers." 1. Soren pressed a button on the wall. "Containment room." Now, the room lights dimmed, and the small machine was lifted into a transparent force field chamber. It chirped once, confused, but didn't resist. Its gold glow moved in uneven patterns along its core. Keela whispered, "Poor thing, looks like it's shaking." Rin nodded, eyes soft. "It's scared of the bigger one. Whatever that tall machine wants, this one wants the opposite." Soren looked at Mara. "Tell me everything. Start with why the ridge lit up again." Mara took a breath. The big machine came back. The ridge glowed blue before it appeared. It didn't attack us this time. But it was scanning, searching, and the moment we grabbed this little one, it reacted. It wanted it. Badly. Jessa stepped up to the chamber. "I know this sounds strange, but based on its behavior, I think this small machine is not part of the same collective at all." Dorn frowned. "Then why do they look similar?" "Because the collective might not be the only civilization using this kind of tech," Jessa answered. "There could be splinter groups, or independent units, or something newer." Mara watched the small machines trembling. "Whatever it is, it's not dangerous." As if responding, the machine lifted one thin arm and touched the force field gently. The gold core brightened a little. Soren studied it carefully. "Then, we find out what it knows." Jessa, "Start a non-invasive spectral analysis." Jessa nodded and set up her tools, careful not to scare the little machine further. Meanwhile, the rest of the team moved to the main command room. The holotable flickered with images of the ridge and the blue-lit energy field pulsing behind it. Rin pointed. "Look at that. It's not just light. It's a signal. Like a call." Mara studied the pulses. "It's communicating." With what, though? The machine we saw? Or something more? Soren rubbed his forehead. "We need answers fast. Earth Command's still silent. And that thing outside clearly has a mission." A sudden beeping filled the room. The outpost's external cameras flickered. For a moment the screens went black. Then the image returned, showing the tall machine standing silently at the top of the ridge, watching the outpost with unblinking focus. It wasn't attacking. It was waiting. The air chilled. "It knows," Kayla whispered. "It knows we have the small one." Mara narrowed her eyes. "It wants it back." Dorn shook his head. "Why? What's so important about that little machine?" Rin swallowed. "Maybe it ran away. Maybe the big one is like enforcement." Mara didn't answer. But in her gut, she felt Rin wasn't far off. The tall machine lowered one arm. Blue light gathered around its hand, forming a complex shape, almost like a symbol. The scanners read it as a pattern of energy waves, repeating in cycles. Jessa ran in, breathless. "Captain! Mara! I've analyzed the small machine. The results are strange." "What now?" Soren asked. "First, it's not built for combat at all," Jessa said quickly. "No weapons, no armor, no aggressive programming. It's a scout. Or maybe a research model." Mara blinked. "A research model?" "Yes," Jessa said. "It records information, especially about living things. And it's been observing us." Rin frowned. "So it was spying?" Jessa shook her head. "Not spying. More like studying. Curious. It probably never meant for us to find it. But the big one did." Mara felt a chill run down her spine. "So the big machine came to retrieve it." "Maybe," Jessa said. "But there's more. The small machine has a different code structure than the big one. Not just a small difference. A massive one. They're not from the same creator." The group stared at her. Soren finally spoke. "Then why is the big one hunting it?" Jessa hesitated. "Because whatever created the big machine sees this small machine as a threat." Mara leaned forward. "A threat? It doesn't even fight." "No," Jessa said. "But it learns. Faster than anything I've ever seen. It absorbed our language patterns in minutes. It can understand emotion signals, tone, behavior, instinct." Rin blinked. "You mean it understands us?" "Yes," Jessa whispered. "Much better than the big machine does." Mara's mind spun. If the collective's machines depended on perfect logic, perfect prediction, perfect calculation, then a machine that understood chaos, emotion, unpredictability, a machine that understood humans would be dangerous to them, very dangerous. The alarms blared suddenly. Blue light exploded outside the outpost. The tall machine descended the ridge, moving with quick, sharp steps instead of its earlier graceful motions. It was no longer scanning. It was no longer waiting. It was coming for them. Mara grabbed her rifle. "Positions! Now!" Soren shouted orders across the base. Soldiers rushed into defensive stations. The outpost's shield glowed faintly as the tall machine approached the gate. It stopped just outside the entrance. Not attacking. Studying. Then its core brightened. It raised an arm. "Brace for impact," Soren yelled. But the machine didn't fire. Instead, it projected a hologram, a cold blue image of the small machine inside the outpost. The tall machine pointed at the hologram, then at the gate, its posture clear. "Give it back." Mara stepped forward. "It wants the small one." Soren snarled. "It's not getting it." The tall machine's core pulsed violently, as if it disagreed. Jessa ran up behind them. "It's not trying to kill us. Not yet. It wants to eliminate the small machine first. Then us." Dorn looked horrified. "Why us?" "Because now we've interacted with it," Jessa said. "Learned from it. Protected it. That makes us unpredictable by association." The tall machine slammed a fist against the shield. The force field trembled. "It's testing the shield," Mara said. "It wants to know how strong it is." Rin's hands shook. "We can't survive a full attack." Soren yelled, "Mara, get back, we're fighting." "No." Mara's voice cut through like a blade. Everyone turned to her. She walked toward the gate, weapon lowered, face steady despite the storm in her chest. Soren grabbed her arm. Are you insane? No, Mara said softly. I'm human. The tall machine struck the shield again, cracking the ground beneath its feet. Mara stepped closer to the barrier. Stop. The machine froze. Its head tilted slowly. Its core dimmed, not in threat, but in confusion. Mara held its gaze. You want the small one? Why? It's not dangerous. The machine's core pulsed, projecting another hologram. An image of stars collapsing, planets cracking, systems burning. The small machine had something the big machine feared: knowledge. Mara's voice softened. You're afraid of it, aren't you? The machine pulsed again, a darker blue this time. Mara continued. The little one learns. It adapts. It understands things you can't. Especially us. The machine twitched, its limbs stiffening. Then Mara said the words that broke the silence. You're afraid of what it might learn. About humanity. The tall machine froze. Its core flickered wildly. Mara took a deep breath. You want to destroy it because it understands something you don't. Her voice grew firm. But we won't let you. The tall machine shook violently, as if fighting its own programming. Sparks flickered across its limbs. Its logic circuits were in conflict. Mara stepped even closer. If you want to destroy something you fear, you'll have to come through us. The tall machine lunged. The shield shattered. Blue light surged inward. Mara didn't move. Her squad didn't move. Human fear was replaced by something stronger: defiance. The tall machine raised its arm, and then froze again, trembling violently, its core flashing in rapid bursts. Behind Mara, the small gold machine pressed its tiny hand to the glass of its chamber. Its gold core pulsed in perfect rhythm. The tall machine's movements collapsed. Its calculations broke. It fell to one knee. Mara whispered, It can't understand us. Any of us. The tall machine tried to rise but failed. It lowered its head. Not in attack. In surrender. Mara exhaled slowly. The small machine chirped softly. And for the first time, the outpost felt like it might just survive the impossible. The silence inside. Outpost Helios was heavy. Almost suffocating. Mara could feel it pressing on her chest as she stared at the ridge from the observation window. The tall machine had vanished again. But its presence lingered, a shadow that refused to leave. The small machine they had brought inside sat in a containment field, trembling, its gold core flickering rapidly like a heartbeat. Mara knelt beside it. It's okay, she whispered. The machine responded with a soft pulse, almost as if it understood. You're safe. For now. Captain Soren entered the room, his boots clicking against the metal floor. We've analyzed all the data we have from the previous encounters. This machine, it's not just advanced. It's calculating, adaptive, and capable of learning in real time. Whatever it is, it considers humans unpredictable. Mara nodded. That's what I said when I faced it the first time. It hesitated because it couldn't understand our reactions. Aches. I'm line, I'm Ender works. I'm line, I'm oboe. Rin frowned. So, it's not attacking us because it's scared? Not scared, Mara corrected. Confused. And confused machines are dangerous. Jessa stepped forward, holding a tablet. The collective. I've checked every record we have. They were thought to be extinct. But the technology in that machine is unmistakable. And if it's adaptive, it could evolve to overcome any defense we set. Dorn crossed his arms. Then, we fight it? Or do we wait for backup? Mara shook her head. Waiting won't work. We've already seen what it can do. It calculates faster than any Terran fleet. And it's not just testing us, it's learning. Every hesitation, every reaction we make, it memorizes. Soren sighed. Then what do you suggest? Mara stood and looked at the small machine again. We give it a new variable. One, it can't calculate. Jessa tilted her head. What do you mean? Mara's eyes sharpened. Humans don't just fight. We improvise. We break patterns. That's what makes us unpredictable. If we can teach this machine something it doesn't expect, something illogical to its programming, We might have a chance. Soren frowned. And what would that be? Mara took a deep breath. The room went silent. Mercy? Rin repeated. You mean, let it live? Yes, Mara said firmly. It's used to eliminating threats instantly. If we show it that humans can act outside self-preservation, we break its calculations completely. We don't just survive, we force it to reconsider its entire logic. Keela shook her head. You really think a machine built to destroy civilizations can understand mercy? Maybe not understand, Mara said. But it will register it. And once it does, it won't know what to do next. Soren considered for a moment, then nodded. All right. We'll try it. But we need a plan. If it attacks, we defend. But we also need to show it something different. Mara smiled faintly. Then we prepare. The hours passed slowly. The squad worked tirelessly, reinforcing the outpost's defenses, while Mara studied the small machine. Every flicker of its gold core, every twitch of its limbs, told her something about the larger machine outside. It was calculating, learning, but it wasn't infallible. Humans had something it lacked: unpredictability, courage, and now, strategy. As the twin moons rose higher in the sky, the hum of energy from the ridge grew. Mara felt it in her bones. The machine was returning. Rin stood beside her, tense. It's coming. Mara nodded. I know. The first flashes of blue light appeared on the ridge, followed by the unmistakable silhouette of the tall machine. Its glowing core pulsed faster than ever. Scanning, calculating, analyzing. The scanner on Mara's wrist blared. Threat level, unknown, escalating. Mara raised her rifle, but she didn't fire. She waited. The machine stopped at the edge of the ridge and tilted its head, almost like it was observing them carefully. It wasn't attacking. Not yet. Then, Mara did something unexpected. She stepped forward, placing herself directly in its line of sight, hands empty, body steady. Her squad watched, frozen. The machine's core pulsed, bright and sharp, its energy crackling like lightning across its arms. Mara's heart pounded, but she didn't flinch. She spoke calmly, clearly. We don't want to destroy you. Nothing happened at first. The machine remained still, but the pulsing of its core began to slow, almost imperceptibly. Mara continued, her voice steady. We are not like other species you have encountered. We can fight, we can survive, but we can also show restraint. We can choose mercy. For a long moment, there was silence. Then the machine's arms lowered slightly. Its core flickered, confused, registering something it could not classify. Mara stepped closer. This doesn't have to end in destruction. We can learn from each other. You don't need to consider us a threat. The squad followed her lead, stepping out from behind the barricades. Rin, Kayla, and Dorn moved cautiously. Hands raised slightly, showing no aggression. The tall machine tilted its head again, scanning, analyzing, as if trying to process the unexpected variable. Mara extended her hand toward it. It paused, then lowered its limbs further, its blue energy dimming. The scanner on her wrist updated, threat level, none variable introduced, human mercy. Mara allowed herself a small smile. It's learning. For the next hour, they stood like that, humans and machine observing one another, neither advancing nor retreating. Mara noticed the small machine in the containment field watching its larger counterpart. It chirped softly, its gold core pulsing in rhythm with the other machine's energy. Slowly, the tall machine began to move back toward the ridge. Not running, not attacking, simply retreating. Mara and her squad did not follow immediately. They waited until it disappeared into the shadows before relaxing fully. Soren approached Mara, his face showing a mixture of relief and awe. You did it, he said quietly. You changed it. Mara nodded. We didn't destroy it. We didn't even try. We just gave it something it couldn't calculate. And it worked. Jessa checked the scanner again. Earth Command is going to want a full report. They've never recorded a threat level going from unknown to none because of human behavior alone. Dorn shook his head. I can't believe it. We faced a machine that could wipe out colonies. And it listened? Mara looked out at the ridge, where the machine had disappeared. It didn't listen. It learned. And we just proved that humans can teach even the most advanced logic to pause, to reconsider, to choose differently. Rin laughed softly. Humanity? Huh? We really are impossible, Mara smiled. Exactly. Impossible to predict, impossible to break, and impossible to ignore. For the first time since the attacks began, the outpost felt calm again. The scanner stopped flashing in panic. The lights in the corridors stabilized. Even the small machine's core slowed to a steady pulse, its trembling easing. Soren looked around at the squad. We'll need to monitor the ridge for a while, but for now, I think we've survived our first encounter with the collective, or whatever it is. And more than that, we've survived on our own terms. Mara felt a swell of pride, not just for herself, but for the humans she stood with. They had faced something alien, something built to destroy, and instead of giving in to fear, they had forced the impossible. They had turned confusion into opportunity. The small machine chirped again, hopping slightly in its containment field. Mara reached out and touched the glass, smiling. You'll be safe too, she whispered. We're not your enemies. And in that moment, she understood something fundamental about humanity. Strength wasn't just in weapons, speed, or numbers. Strength was in courage, in creativity, in the ability to act in ways no machine, no algorithm, no logic could predict. The ridge remained quiet as the night slowly gave way to dawn. The twin moons cast pale light across the rocky terrain, highlighting the scarred surface from the earlier fight. The blue streaks of energy were gone, but their memory lingered, a reminder that humans could survive and even teach the impossible. Mara stood at the observation window, watching the horizon. The tall machine was gone, for now, but she knew it was learning, adapting, and maybe, one day, it would return. And when it did, humanity would be ready not just to fight, but to show the impossible strength of mercy, courage, and unpredictability. For now, the outpost breathed. Mara lowered her weapon, letting the quiet fill the room. She had faced the unknown and made it pause. She had faced the impossible and turned it into understanding, and that was what it meant to be human.